Hi, I'm Kat Spitzer, and thank you for joining me again in Historic Annapolis. Today I'm at the Banneker-Douglass Museum, which is actually right in the heart of Historic Annapolis, and I'm here today with Maya Davis, the director of the museum. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. So I love this scene. It seems as if we're on a slave ship, and we are coming in and seeing Annapolis for the first time. What's going on? Tell me about this museum.
Well, we are named after Benjamin Banneker and Frederick Douglass, but we are so much more than that. We are the state's official repository for African American history and culture in the state of Maryland. And so when visitors come here, they can come here and get 300 to 400 years of information about history here in the state of Maryland from the African American perspective. And so we invite people to come in and they begin their experience here. And so if you put yourself back in time where you're on an enslaved ship bringing people over from the coast of Africa into Maryland, and you have Annapolis Harbor here behind. And so you're coming here and you're coming into a new environment, a different climate, different people. And so, you know, you're experiencing this for the first time. And as you know, many of them would not have spoken English at the time. And so this is a great introduction so people can just feel that experience and what it's like.
This is what they would see.
This is what they would see.
Wow.
And you know, and this kind of begins the story because we have so many unique figures from the state of Maryland, such as Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, who people know on a national level, but they don't think about them in conjunction with the state of Maryland. And so we kind of want to tell that history because we want to champion. Well, one of the reasons we highlight Benjamin Banneker is because he helped to lay out the city of Washington, D.C., which is a very big feat for an African-American man at that time. He assisted Pierre L'Enfant in helping to lay out the grid for the system that became the city of Washington.
Oh, wow. So this just was not something that was done by an African-American at the time. This is, wow. I can see why they want to name the museum for him.
Exactly.
So I realize when coming to this museum, there are so many famous African Americans that I almost forget the history that they're involved in, and then to realize how much the Chesapeake Bay has to do with this. I didn't realize it before. You know the names, but you don't know sort of the relation with the bay. So tell us a little bit. This right here, this fierce small woman is Harriet Tubman.
Exactly. And one of the things that I'd like to say too is that when you think of the state of Maryland, people don't think of Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman as Marylanders, and they are because they're such national figures. And then when you bring them back into our state, to me that has even more power because we can champion them and say, oh, they're from our state, that's just amazing, we breed wonderful people.
Absolutely.
But I mean, they, as well as many other thousands of enslaved individuals, have utilized the Chesapeake Bay.
So really, the uniqueness of the bay helped them to be able to escape and obtain freedom.
Exactly. The landscape was very important to the escape of enslaved individuals in the state of Maryland, but also the close proximity to free states such as Pennsylvania.
Wow. That's incredible. And so it's just the knowledge of how the tributaries worked and just
wow. You know, because someone like Harriet Tubman would have worked in timbering, which involved working with the waterways and moving that timber through the water. So they were very familiar with the landscape.
This is great. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a look around now because there's so many amazing things to see. You have to come check this out. But thank you so much for talking with us and giving us more information about these amazing people and amazing circumstances here in the Chesapeake Bay area. This is a picture of Lear Green, a slave at the time, who felt like her only option was to actually ship herself to freedom. And so she needed to ship herself to Philadelphia from here in a box like this. I'm gonna get in this box. And I gotta say, I can't imagine staying here for 18 hours. Because that's what she did. 18 hours, not sure if she was gonna make it, not sure if she was even gonna be able to breathe for that long, but that's how important it was for her to get to her freedom, and she made it. So here we have an interesting sort of tableau of a person who is blacksmithing. And what's interesting about this is that after they became free, they were able to use these skills of blacksmithing and carpentry and shipbuilding that they learned in this area to then have economic independence after they became free. So it's really an interesting part of the history. This museum is full of story after story of amazing African Americans who have overcome hardships that we can hardly even imagine. We have a gentleman here who became a Medal of Honor winner and is highly educated. We have a gentleman over here who was the first African American to reach the North Pole in 1909. Here you see stories about women who were helping the home front during World War II. Just incredible people. You really need to come check out this museum. There are so many interesting things to see. And I hope you'll join me next month as we visit another historic site in Annapolis. See you then.